Welcome to No Question About That. This is a tactical debrief. I'm Ed with Dharnish today. How's it going, Dharnish?
It's going. It is going. It's going very, very good. The sun's shining. Man United won
United are
3-0.
winning. Yeah. You were telling me off air that you woke up with a big fat smile this morning.
A big fat. Yeah, you said a big fat something.
We're going to do tactical debrief. Yeah, big fat something.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. Big fat victory is what we got. So I was thinking about like the tactics of this. Maybe there's some things we spotted, because it struck me that it was vibes that won a lot of this or lost a lot of this, but there's going to be more stuff going on than that, because for once Valverde couldn't really impose himself and his system on the game. You know, he's got a very clear system normally. We talked about it a lot in the preview pod.
Yeah.
None of it worked for Bilbao.
I think for 30 minutes it somewhat worked. I would say that. I'd say the biggest problems I think the first 30 minutes was we spoke about it in the preview pod, the pressing. It's always been a problem with United's build-up. 3 centre-backs at the back, kind of push them, kind of suffocate them, slowly getting them higher up the pitch. And it kind of results in a defender sort of launching it long. So I think the first 30 minutes, largely we owe to Uncle Casimiro, because every time Ugarte would give the ball away, every time Lindelof would give the ball away, every time Dorgu would give the ball away, because those were the outlets, right? Those are the defenders are the ones who are instructed to get the ball from defense into attack. When they can't do that because of the press, that's when United have a problem. And that's when United did have a problem. But Casemiro luckily just stepped in, almost like he did in 22-23, each time to just quell the Athletic Club counter. And then I think what started to happen is, because it's a game in Europe, and because these lot are obsessed with getting to the final. We spoke about that in the preview pod as well. You could feel the stadium just turn on the referee, and 65,000 Basque country people crying. I hope they're still crying today, by the way.
Yeah, they are, yeah. What's Basque for crying? Yeah.
I think the atmosphere in that sense ended up working in United's favour. But sort of back to the tactics side of it, what happened sort of after that first 30 minutes, they got back into the game and they started actually finding gaps. So Fernandes and Garnacho would find gaps in the half space, get on the ball, turn, and then pass it to the wing back. All I think, apart from the third goal, the first 2 goals come from crosses, which is exactly what you want from Amorim. The first one was a set piece. Obviously, we spoke about set pieces. It's because they committed so many men up there. It wasn't a good cross by Fernandes, by the way. It gets back out wide to Ronaldinho, crosses it back inside, and Casemiro scores. But it's two
Maradona.
Maradona. I mean, with the
Maradona.
But also, just a quick, I want to say, how many games have we seen of United's where they get it on the wing and they can't cross it?
Yeah, a lot.
It's an insurmountable amount of times, and Maguire does it. But it's 2 or 3 things that we thought would work in the preview pod that did work, right? Committing a lot of tall men in set pieces.
We did talk about set pieces.
To find space, getting past the first 30 minutes. And then I think after that goal, they got more confidence, and another cutback goal happens. Højlund wins a penalty. More cutbacks happen. I thought they could have got a 4th, to be honest with you. If there's a part of me that is like a little bit upset, I think they should have got a 4th in the second half. Amorim said it as well. The tie isn't over, but I would have ripped your hand off and bit it off, and bit off everything else of your face as well, if you told me that we would go back to Old Trafford with 3-0.
Yeah, all right, Hannibal Lecter. Very good. The interesting thing I thought with Bilbao is that we did mention the age of the Bilbao fullbacks in the preview pod, right?
You said it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Like, one of the interesting things with Bilbao is the connection between the fullbacks and the Williams brothers, right? They're not really high pressing fullbacks. They don't push really high up necessarily, especially in tight games. At least the games I'd seen in Bilbao. they couldn't impose themselves on this game at all. The Williams brothers were completely disconnected from their back four, and that was down to United, right? And so I thought Garnacho was excellent at stretching and forcing them back all the time. Like, the final product is not always good with him, we know this, but his willingness to run and run and run and run, like, kept those Bilbao fullbacks like deep all of the time, and allowed after that first tough 30 minutes, and especially obviously once they were down to 10, I mean, the game state completely changes then. It was just kind of interesting how Amorim's system of connecting those inside 10s with the wing backs imposed itself better than Bilbao's fullbacks and the Williams brothers. And that was nice to see. And of course, like, we can't take out the fact that after 34 minutes they were down to 10 men, it completely changed. So
yeah, of course, but you still have to, even before they were down to 10 men, Garnacho had a disallowed goals marginally offside.
Very marginally, yeah.
We're at the point now with Garnacho where it's like, in the Premier League, and this goes for the whole Man United team, they get bullied off the ball far too much. In the Europa League, they do the same things, and it's like, oh wait, this is working because these guys aren't as physical. But Garnacho he's the only player Man United possess in the front line at the moment that will always run in behind, always will stretch defenses. He won't care if he messes up 5 times, he'll do it again on the 6th. And it was a big problem for athletic clubs. It's an aging defense. And they kept pinging balls in behind, or they kept going wide, and they kept sort of falling over whenever they were in the final third. There was a moment, I think maybe after the third goal or the second goal, where I think Højlund just about misses a chance. But you see the Athletic Club centre-back, and he's almost falling over to clear the ball. So I think we didn't realise that, yes, Athletic Club are brilliant when they have the ball, but their defence stems from having a lot of the ball. When United had it, they got themselves back into the game and they started doing the things that worked for Amorim and United. And it's...
Yeah.
It is just... Europa League is Man United's tournament in that sense. They find it a lot easier.
Ugate's talked about the physicality of the Premier League. I mean, he very specifically said, he was asked, why are your results so different? And he talked about physicality. In the summer, they've got to know that they need some big fucking nasty bastard in the middle of midfield. Not particularly a tactical point, but it is interesting because, like, Ugate's physical, but in a very different way. He's not going to bully anyone. He's physical. He gets around the pitch, makes a lot of interceptions, does a lot of those defensive actions. He kept giving the ball away in the first 15, 20 minutes, which Casimiro covered for him. It's been the other way around a lot of this season, but in the last couple of months, Casimiro's really come to the fore, especially in the Europa. Can we talk about a couple of interesting tweaks, though, that Amorim's done? One is Casemiro is now an 8. He's not a 6, basically, in Amorim's system. He's got license to get forward, and Ugarte is covering that space. We see the best of Casemiro without exposing the worst. It was the other way around under Amorim. Ten Hag, wasn't it? Right, where he was asked to cover all the space and not do the things he's good at, which is the attacking, getting into those places where he can head the ball in. Scored a goal, one off the post yesterday, and make those riskier passes in the final third. Also pays off because it really is a problem for United where he's doing that in the defensive third. So that's interesting. The tweak. Suddenly you're looking at Casemiro and going, because we talked about this before. Anyway, you're going, okay, it's not. I'm sure they'd love to get his wages off the books, but there's a player you can use there, right? Rather than the one that we thought was completely finished. So there's that. And then Bruno, the one thing you really worry about him when he's in central midfield, I know he's nominally a 10 yesterday, but really not really, is his ability to get the ball in tight spaces and not waste it by like doing a stupid flick or trying to, getting rid of it like a hot potato or getting pressured. Like, he gets pressed and he's not good in those situations. He's turned into a real fucking midfielder where he can take the ball in those tight spaces. He's Kobbie Mainoo levels of tight space control against Bilbao. I couldn't believe it. He's just really matured.
He's in his Luka Modric bag. I think he's in his Luka Modric bag. He really is. But I think he's one of the few players that will go away and look at what was wrong and what was maybe weak points of his game, or at least the game. He's been there for four different Man United managers now. I think he's the only one to sit there and go, okay, what does this situation actually need from me right now? and what does the situation need from me going forward, and what can I do for that? He alluded to that in the interviews as well, and he's become that. Him and Casimiro have a good connection off the pitch, and that's formulating on the pitch now as well. You can see that. Uncle Casimiro didn't put a foot wrong. I don't know whether it's
nothing.
I don't know whether it's being in a European tournament. I don't know whether it's they were slandering his name. I don't know whether it's because he was a large reason of why Man United were very, very good in 22-23, and then he was a big reason as to why they dropped off the season after, because he was probably about 60-70% vital to how good that first season was. But it's salient to me that each time he gets games under his belt, he gets a run of 5, 6, 7, 8 games, he looks a lot sharper. He let to stand. It's not his game isn't always about breaking up fires by tackling. It's normally just by standing in the right place and then making a judgment or a defensive action after that. Because I think back to 22-23 after the red card, when people said he's not like himself, but maybe when your body is 32 years old and you've been running around cleaning up after Real Madrid for, 10 years, you kind of need 6, 7, 8 games to get up to speed with games. But it feels like there's a nice dynamic developing between Fernandes and Casemiro now. And normally one of them is the one who launches it as a hot potato, but it's nice that Casemiro still launches it a lot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. At the moment, it's working a lot. But Fernandes has really... He can play as a deeper midfielder now, and he can probably play as a deeper midfielder, I don't know, for the next 7, 8 years. It's just more so worry about the amount of games he's played, because it's a lot.
Yeah. He's got a lot of miles under the clock, and you do look at that, and typically after the sort of 400 games, 400 full 90s, players start to degrade, and Fernandes... Yeah, it's good. I mean, players are different, right? Players are very different, so they age at different rates and all of that, but his ability to transform into a player who can play in the pivot gives us squad building options, right? It's you're like, oh, okay, we can have Cunha and another runner up front, maybe. They're looking for Mascherano, or Garnacho is going to stay, or if Kobbie plays further up the field. It gives you a lot of squad options. I think he doesn't. Sometimes it'll be Fernandes in the 10. Sometimes he'll play 8, but now you don't have to worry about that, really, because he's proven over the last 6 months that he can do that in the Premier League and in Europe. And obviously, it's very different in Europe. So it's great. Sorry, you got a point. And then can we talk about the Williams brothers and what went wrong with them last night?
Yeah, Williams brothers, like there's some, they're like the Jedward or something in Spain. But it's spectacular that in probably United's worst Premier League season ever, their talisman has gone away and said, no, I need to tweak my game. As if he's the one who needs to go back and turn his game around, even though he's been the only one to count on for the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
It should be appreciated, absolutely appreciated, because he's not wavered once. He's not ran to the press once. He's just sat and got on with it, and I don't know where they'd be without him. I know we keep saying it, but there's a reason for that. But no, let's talk about the lack of the Williams brothers, I don't know, penetration, speed, anything.
Here's one stat. Alejandro Garnacho has more goals and assists than Nico Williams this season. And in fact, if he was running towards his XG, he's actually well below his XG, Garnacho, because we know he's wasteful. Yeah, if he just tweaked his finishing percentage from 18 to 2021, he'd be putting up incredible numbers. And it's the frustration of the things he gets wrong that is driving people crazy. But Nico Williams will take a transfer this season. It's €58 million release clause. He's going to go to a big club. Arsenal, Liverpool, Barcelona. It's cheap. He's cheap for a player of his talent. But he's not had a particularly... €58 million. Yeah. That is just for comparison, €16 million cheaper than Rasmus Højlund.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. And about €30 million cheaper than Anthony. But like in Athletic's biggest game of the season as well, although they are challenging for Champions League places in La Liga, he just didn't turn up at all. Iñaki, I thought, did more running. He did more of the hard stuff. Nico just couldn't impose himself on the game at all. And that's one of the weaknesses of younger players. Sometimes they drift out, even though he's a couple of years older than Alejandro Garnacho.
This isn't really a tactical point, but I think that for the first 10 minutes, I felt like it's a game where they had space and they had. I think the header maybe that went just over the bar, but United had their opportunities as well. So it's like it's that same mode against Lyon where it's like, strangely in the Europa League, even if teams come back at United, they can hit back at them. But to be honest, the penalty situation just kind of knocked the stuffing out of them. But even with that being the case, I think in the second half, Valverde, I think for 20 odd minutes or 15 minutes, I don't know how long it was, tried to create sort of a basketball game. And I think he tried to get Nico Williams in behind, and he tried to get runners in behind. But by that point, United was sort of savvy to it. They weren't afraid to be tough with the tackle. I think they were ganging up on him as well, 2 or 3. I think it's the beauty of having 5 at the back. When he was bursting past the wing back, I think Lindelof or somebody else was coming across. So he was just effective.
Yeah. It was Lindelof on the right, not the left. I thought it'd be the other way around, but it was Lindelof and Mazraoui is that connection on the right defensively. Mazraoui had an excellent game as well.
He did.
Really put the shift in, Yeah, very. I mean, he's excellent on the ball. He's a good defender. It's his physicality that's concerning, especially in the Premier League. I think he's much more suited to that right side of the back three, but Lindelof did all right. He got one fantastic block in as well. Mazraoui was very... And then can we talk a little bit about how much Lenny Yoro has matured? I mean, he now looks... United spent 50-something million euros on him. Big risk for a young kid. He looked a little bit impetuous in some of his early games. Obviously got injury. They knew he had that broken foot and it broke. So that was expected. But throughout the season, he's grown. And I thought he barely put a foot wrong against Bilbao. He seems to know where to be on the defensive side. He's obviously got fantastic recovery pace. And his ability to bring the ball out of the back. A key Amorim trait.
I was waiting for that.
Key Amorim trait. He's looking like Rio fucking Ferdinand at the moment, isn't he? His comfort moving into midfield.
Real Madrid made no bones of the fact that they were pissed off that they didn't get him. And when that happens, when Daddy Perez is pissed off, you're all good. You've signed a good kid. His recovery pace is really good. Like, really, really good. Rio Ferdinand was good. I hope it develops more consistently. He becomes as consistent as Rio Ferdinand was, but I think he's probably the quickest Man United centre-back now, I would say.
For sure, yeah.
Is Martinez quick? I feel like he looks quick sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think Yoro's the quickest. Yeah, if you give him a 20-yard sprint, I'm pretty sure it'll be Yoro. None of the others are particularly quick, though.
No,
Who would be the slowest of those?
Wait.
Shaw's got some decent pace, although I wonder whether injuries have blunted that somewhat. Martinez is all right. Maguire and De Ligt are fairly slow. Mazraoui's all right.
Yeah, I think we've seen the minutes that we've wanted to from him. So he's not been, obviously the injury, but he's not been fully into the team straight away. He's come in slowly, and then because of how well Amorim rotates, he's now becoming a mainstay. And I think he has to be a starter now. He's, like he said,
sure.
I love when he brings it out from the back. Because that's every centre-back that plays in the three should be looking to do that. And that's how you break the lines. And I think it's especially good because he's coming into a United team that have just been utter dross this season, and he's shone through. So I think he'll be the mainstay going forward. I'd like to see... I'm trying to think of who plays in the back three now. Martinez, Yoro, and I don't know, De Ligt.
Well, Martinez won't be fit until January.
No, but I mean,
what's
going
our
forward,
best number three?
Starting 11.
Yeah. I mean, Maguire's important for his passing, although the speed is a problem with Maguire. I mean, like, we all enjoyed his performance yesterday, for sure. Especially the Haradonna moment where he skinned the athletic fullback twice. Just perfect. You're going to love that. That is a meme. It's a meme already, yeah. But, yeah, in our ideal back three...
He gets caught wide sometimes. He gets caught wide and...
he does,
he's
in the channels,
He's capable of the odd daft thing. But I'm thinking, sort of going forward, Martinez has to be in there, Yoro has to be in there, And then I guess De Ligt plays there just because he's the new signing. I don't know what you think.
Well, I don't think Amorim will think about it in terms of new signings. I mean, obviously Maguire's got 1 more year on his contract they've signed, so he'll be here next season. Martinez not back until January. We'll see how get into Dr. Fuentes and sort him out quickly.
That's a long time. I didn't realize it was January. I thought it'd be next summer.
Another third knee injury. I mean, you worry for players when that happens. Yeah, but whatever Dr. Ahmad Diallo went to that got that recovery too much. Send him there. Send him there. Yeah, a couple of Dave Brailsford pouches would work as well. But United don't need to buy a centre back next season, because we've got De Ligt, Maguire, Martinez for the second half of the season. Yoro, Mazraoui can play there. Shaw, left centre back as well as an option. Then you have Aidan Heaven. Kukoni's been in the squad a whole bunch of times. There's a lot of defenders there. A lot of defenders. And so I'm not sure we need to spend money there. It'll be elsewhere. Midfield ball carrier, maybe, if as an option other than Fernandes now.
Yeah,
two strikers, maybe. Matheus Cunha's coming in for sure. That left 10, well, it seems like it, assuming we qualify for the Champions League, which there's a very high probability now.
Whoa. Let's not get ahead of that. Let's not get ourselves. There's another
higher probability now than there was on Wednesday, let's say.
Absolutely. I think it's more so that nobody expected it. And nobody expected them to pass the test with flying colours, is what I would say. I think everybody yesterday would have took a 1-1 and sort of taken back to Old Trafford. Before the game happened. 1-1 taken back to Old Trafford and finish the job off. The job isn't finished, right? Because this is why European ties are so difficult, and this is why we love them so much. Because there's phases of the game where it becomes where a team doesn't have anything to lose and they'll have to go for it. And then the other team isn't really prepared for that, right? What kind of tactics are you going to prepare for that? I'm sure Luis Enrique, preparing his PSG team throughout the week, couldn't have prepared for Aston Villa's onslaught in the last 30 minutes. But 3-0 at home, the tie's firmly in Man United's favour. Make it as boring as you possibly can.
Exactly.
And against Athletic Club, against Real Sociedad, against Lyon, whether the first 20 minutes, whether the first 30 minutes, and then start boringly passing it around. You don't have to always knock it forward. Mason Mount, I think, was receiving instructions from Amorim in the second half. I think he was telling him, he was like, look, just patiently knock it about. Because there was one instance in the second half where I think he could have turned, went forward and attacked, purposefully just went backwards and just knocked it back into the defence. So more of that next week.
Can we talk a little bit? Well, let's talk a little bit about Mount and Kobbie Mainoo, since you mentioned them. Mount came on, kicked a bunch of people. I thought it was good. I enjoyed that. He hasn't started a game yet since he came back from injury. And where do we see his role? Is he like an auxiliary? No managers ever trust him at 8. And I always wonder with that one, because he seems to have the perfect skill set to play there.
So, Tuchel has. I'm pretty sure he has.
Yeah, maybe not much though, if you look at the numbers there. But he should be an option there, or is he an auxiliary 10? And then it's the same question with Kobbie Mainoo, right? Like, I guess Amorim's a bit worried about his ability to cover ground at number 8 or in the pivot there. That's the weak part of Kobbie Mainoo's game, I guess, like getting around the pitch. It seems also his range of passing. He's obviously he likes the shorter pass from the longer pass. But at 10, he's not going to burst in behind. But Amorim seems to like his small spaces game, right? So what does his future look like now?
I mean, I don't know how good the sources are, because I've worried about this as well, because Mainoo should be starting every week for me. But I think it is just fitness. I think for both of them, Mount and Mainoo, it's Mount more so, just because he keeps getting injured and he comes back and keeps getting injured and he comes back. But I think with Mainoo, it is more of a fitness thing, the issues with fitness. It feels like there's a bunch of players that we have, and we're still sort of scratching our heads going, okay, well, Bruno's going to play, and Højlund's the only striker that we have. Now, Casimiro has to play because of his form. And then you kind of look at the other players going, well, I don't know where they fit in. But I would say personally, Mainoo has to play in the pivot for me. I would like Mainoo and a destroyer because Mainoo's always the best at tempo setting. I feel like you need that. And also, the amount of clips I watched of his debut season where he receives the ball in pressure, brings it away from pressure, goes forward 10, 15 yards. I'm like, that's exactly what we need now. People are like,
it is
go
exactly
buy
what we need. Yeah.
Go buy a midfielder that can do that. I'm like, bro, just look at the clips from that season. He's right there. He's sitting on the bench. Just give him some protein, let him work in the gym, and he'll be back.
He did a bit of that when he was away, I think. But yeah, ground coverage still may be a problem there. But you're right. He's the best in the club at receiving under pressure and taking it away. You'd like to see him get the ball 80 to 100 times a game, not 30 to 40, which tends to be the problem. That's coaching where to be at the right time in order to receive the ball and make sure he's always, and also the system, right? Make sure he's always the spare man in a midfield triangle. And I think that will come with maturity, right? I hope so. And there's got to be a way for Amorim to find it. Yeah.
Honestly, I think that will just. I think Mainoo, it's just more games. Mount. I want to see Mason Mount start every Premier League game from now on. Get as many minutes as you can under the clock. Where in games that don't matter, in games where you can kick people, in games where you can try things. Basically, those games don't matter. Because Mount, like when he does come on, you can tell his football IQ was just. It's a little bit better than the other players. But sometimes I kind of wonder what he does on the basis of these cameos. So I want to see more minutes for Mason Mount. And then I'd probably, again, he can play as one of the 10s. But if he plays as one of the 10s, he'll have to play as one of the 10s that drops deep a lot. And then maybe you can have a midfielder that sort of goes into the space when he drops in. And I kind of see him as free roaming 8s, if that makes sense. They can play in the front 3. They can also play in the pivot, but I'd like to see them do jobs at both, if that makes sense. I think Mount can definitely take the ball away from pressure, out of defense. He is a very good presser. He's just got good football now, but I haven't seen many Mason Mount minutes for Man United. I'd like to see more, just to see what we're working with, really. Because I don't know how well 90s has he played, like 2, 3?
Barely any. Yeah, barely any.
Yeah. It's so. I mean, people sit around and they're like, "Yeah, I don't know what Mason Mount does." I'm like, he hasn't played, so nobody knows.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what Amorim does in the summer. Mount's going to stay for sure. I mean, one's a financial thing, but Amorim does seem to like him. Kobbie Mainoo, I'd be really shocked if he's sold. He'll sign a new contract. We'll be all good there. Garnacho's an open question. Then Josh Zirkzee, and they're all competing for the same spot, basically, which is one of the 10s. And you have to have a runner and a dribbler, someone who's going to break play in there if you're going to play one of these, let's say, slower players, non-ball carriers in the 10, whether it's Mount, Zirkzee or Bruno, in order for the balance to be right. And is that other runner, Cunha, Ahmad, Garnacho? These are interesting questions for the balance of United's. There's a lot of talent there, but can Amorim get them to
I wonder
the right balance together?
How they fit in. I mean, I think these are very interesting questions for the summer, and he'll have them figured out. But for now, I think we can celebrate having one foot in the final. Is that right?
Yeah, quite a big foot in the final, I'd say. I mean, look, if Bilbao come to, and this is less a tactical issue, but if Bilbao come to Old Trafford and score early, then the pressure's on, right? Yeah. Because next goal really, really changes the momentum. And we know, we've seen Lyon game that United are quite able to concede goals in clusters, make consecutive errors. These things are very much traits of this United squad. So it's not done and done. I'd have been much more comfortable if Maguire stuck that one in the top corner, not onto the bar, or Uncle Casimiro had managed to score from 3 yards out with that header and all of that.
You have everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't have everything, but we're 1 foot, 1.5 feet in the final. And Amorim's best night. Everything worked for him.
I think so. I think it couldn't have gone better. Maybe another goal, but you know what's mad? Bruno scored a penalty, and he sort of stuck his tongue out after he scored the penalty. I feel like that's how we all feel at the moment.
Yeah.
Like we can't believe there's a shot after all the disastrous stuff that's happened this season. There's a shot at being in the Champions League next season, and a shot at getting the European trophy. I feel like if anybody deserves it, it's Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, God. Yeah. I can't wait for him to lift the trophy after Manchester United's 3, Bodo Glimt 0 in Bilbao.
Hopefully. Put some snow on that AstroTurf pitch. I'm telling you.
Get it as cold and slippy as possible. Yeah. If there's any team that can melt, it's Spurs. Wrong analogy. Any team that could freeze on the night, it's Spurs. There you go. Deary me.
If we get past Bilbao next week, Athletic Club, whatever, I don't want Spurs. I don't know what it is. I feel like there's too many embarrassing things that can happen to lose to Spurs. Like, imagine losing to Spurs in a final.
Oh, it could be awful.
It just, I don't know. They've beaten us 3 times this season. I don't think we've ever beaten Postecoglou. Ever. Have we? No.
How's that possible? They're dreadful.
Yeah.
They're absolutely dreadful, and then they keep beating us.
Lost 2-0 in his debut. Lost 2-0 away in his debut season. Had lots of chances, couldn't put them away. Drew 2-2 at Old Trafford. Lost, I think we got hammered at Old Trafford. 3-1, 2-0 something. Played them again in this ridiculous... I think the game recently at the Wembley Stadium was where both teams realised, you're mid, I am mid too, and it was just hilarious. Lost that too. Lost again in the Carling Cup, so... I don't know. We haven't beaten Spurs. I don't know them.
Fair enough. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Dharnish, on your travels. Yet another venue. We keep seeing you in different places around the world.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yep, indeed. That is exactly what people will be looking at now, because they'll be booking their planes to all over to get to Bilbao. Not the easiest place to get to. Not a lot of direct flights there, so... they'll be getting into Bordeaux or Madrid, or I don't know, you can even fly into Porto and drive from there if you want. There are options, but it's not easy. Hotel prices will be €900 a night, and tickets will be going on the black market already. Get yourself in the UEFA ballot. Good luck, fellas. Yeah. All right, Dharnish, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.